let me bring up my notes here. We'll talk about what I think about Final Fantasy II. Okay. Oh, okay. So, when talking about this game, I'm not gonna be like comparing it to the Final Fantasies that come after, because that seems like it would be unfair. But I will compare it to the first Final Fantasy. So, I mean, I liked it. I did like playing it. It's a fun game. Well, not fun. Well, I don't know. Is it fun? I guess, I don't know. Like, I have mixed feelings about this game, I guess. Like, there's some parts of it that were good, and there's some parts that were bad. It's good, but the first one, yeah, I like the first one over this one. I like the fact that in this game there is more of a story. There's more dialogue between like the different characters. You even have characters that switch out of your party and you get new people, and generally the narrative is a lot more, it directs you to where you need to go better than the first one. Like the narrative overall is a lot better than the first game, I would say. That being said, there's a lot of people that just fucking die. And the problem with that, like, it's not a problem that just a lot of people died, but you barely get your party members for more than like a couple hours at most, and they barely have any dialogue, and then they do something heroic, and then they die. And that's it. And there's a lot of characters even outside of the party that also died. You didn't have any time to get any attachment to the characters or anything before they just fucking died, so you never... I mean, I didn't feel anything when any of the characters died. I was just like, oh, rip, there goes another one! There's no emotional impact when you have people dying over and over again, and you hardly have gotten to really know them. They're just not around long enough, there's just not enough dialogue with them, like, that's kind of the thing. It's really weird, and like, even seeing them all at the end as ghosts is just like, oh, hey guys, who were around for like, you know, however long and then just fucking died. Hey guys. I'm not really broken up about it or anything. So yeah, while I liked the story more, the having people constantly die was like kind of spoiled it a little bit. It's just like, okay, there goes another person. Another one bites the dust! Anyway. The leveling system. I should talk about the leveling system because that's like the major difference between this game and the first Final Fantasies, and even the first Final Fantasy, and even the other Final Fantasies, where you don't have the level number. You just level your stats instead of leveling up overall. Which, in theory, is a really interesting idea. Like, it's different, and to be able to grow your characters in the way that you kind of want them to grow, like as better spellcasters or as better physical attackers. Like, that's really interesting. The problem I have with it, though, is that it's odd. It's very easy to exploit it, and some of the stats just don't want to level. And, you know, there was the one person who came in and they said that they were able to, like, max out their stats in, like, the first area. Or whatever, or, like, you could get a ton of hit points in, like, the first area and then just cruise through the rest of the game. It's just kind of... I feel like it could have been done better. I feel like that you almost could have done, like, maybe, like, a hybrid of stat leveling and, like, overall leveling. Like, you can grow your stats to a certain point and then you would have to, like, level or something. That might be more interesting. I don't know. But, I don't know. It's a good idea in theory. It's just in this game it's not very well executed. Especially when it comes to the spells, the magic leveling system. It's just straight up a pain in the ass. It takes so long to level spells. It takes so long. You saw those enemies doing, like, Fire 16 or whatever? I got Fire 5, and the highest spell level I have is Cure with 8. And I was using Cure a lot. I was using Cure a lot. It's just so incredibly slow. And then you don't get some spells until later on in the game. You don't get Ultima until towards the very end, and it seems like Ultima, Flare, and Holy all level at the same rate as the spells at the beginning did. Which means that you would have to grind for a while to level them up to be useful towards the end of the game. And that's just not very, like, intuitive, that's not good. Like, there's just, I mean, did you see me using any magic at the end of the game? Really, no. Hardly. Because it just wasn't worth the effort to go through and level it. I would have loved to have used, like, Ultima or Flare. I think a good solution to that would have simply been to have those spells level up faster to a certain point. At least. Because having them level at the same rate as the spells that you get at the very beginning is just, like, nobody's gonna want to level them. You're not gonna want to take time out and just, like, spam them and try to level them up. It's just boring. So yeah, I have a real big gripe with the magic system, because it's just like, at least in the first game, you got the stronger spells, and they were stronger immediately, and you didn't have to, like, level them or anything. You couldn't use them as often, but I mean, that makes sense. It's just, I don't know, the magic system as a whole is really kind of botched, and I don't really like it. What else? Let's see. I like the fact that we had more inventory space for items and equipment, because inventory space was really, really tight in the first Final Fantasy. Like, too tight. In this game, it was a little difficult to manage the inventory at times, but it wasn't, like, impossible. Let's see. Being able to have the characters wield any weapon is fun. I like that. What else? Oh yeah, this is where the character formation is introduced. I didn't use the character formation, but you can put your characters in the back row if they're more of a casting type character. Like if you had Maria with the bow and had Maria casting a lot, then you would put her in the back row. So that's, you know, that's the first time we seen the formation Final Fantasy series. I really liked the quick save system, the fucking memo file. I don't know if that was in the original Final Fantasy 2. But very, extremely, very helpful. If you die in the middle of a dungeon, you can just come right back. Like, you can just quick save in front of a boss. And I really appreciate that. That makes things a lot less tedious. Granted, the game was still tedious, but as to be expected with, like, a very old... Like, an old RPG, I would expect to be tedious, you know? Like, I go into these old games expecting a bit of a grind, expecting, you know, a bit of tediousness that comes with them. And, you know... Yeah. I mean, there's just not a whole lot to say about this. I mean, like I said, I like the first Final Fantasy better. Liked, you know, you pick your team and you get to watch them grow. Like, having the job change partway through the first Final Fantasy was cool. Watching your characters grow up. But that isn't to say that this is a bad Final Fantasy and you shouldn't play it. I mean, like... Like, I'm really trying, like, it's not bad. It's not bad. I've definitely played worse games in general, but it's just not my favorite. It's just my least favorite Final Fantasy so far that I've played. Oh, yeah, the system with the keywords and, like, asking people about things, that was cool. I kind of wish there was a bit more dialogue for different things you could ask. But that was interesting. That made the conversations a bit more engaging in the game. And what else? I don't know. I think that's about it, isn't it? I think that's about it. Like, there's not a whole lot to say because there's, you know, there's not, like, a lot to this game because it's an older game, so yeah. I guess in the end, like, it's but it's my least favorite out of the Final Fantasy series. Well, okay. Least favorite out of the Final Fantasy series as far as the main games go. I'm not including any sequels or anything like that. Because Final Fantasy 13 too, in my opinion, it was god-awful. But yeah. Yeah, I guess that's it. Did I miss anything? Is there anything else to chat about? I don't know. I think that's it, really. The dungeons were good. I liked the variation in the levels and the dungeons and stuff. The only thing that was just kind of weird was all the doors. Like, the doors that just lead to random dead-end rooms. It's like, why is there a door in a cave? That makes no sense! Just imagine walking down through a cave and there's just a random door. Like, okay, whatever. I think it was kind of stupid. The doors leading into the empty rooms. It's just like... They're just put there to be a pain in the ass. Yeah. Being able to cheese the final boss like that. I mean, you know, it ain't my fault that I was able to do that. That's kind of the developer's fault. But I feel like if I had went at it without the blood sword, then we would have been there for a while, and probably it would have been a lot more difficult. It probably would have been like incredibly hard. But by this point in time, I'm just ready to be done with this game. So you know. With the way some of these games are, I don't mind a little bit of cheese. So, yeah. I think that's it. Yeah. Sure, those are my thoughts about that. Like I said, not much to say, because there's, you know. Yeah. There's just better RPGs in this era of games. I know that Final Fantasy II came out on the Famicom over in Japan. That's like the same era as what, like the NES or SNES or something? Or is that, let me check. What is the Famicom disk system, is that NES era? Yeah. It's just there's better RPGs. But you know, if you're out there to play all the Final Fantasies, then like I am, then like, you know, fucking go for it, man. Otherwise, if you were just looking for like the best Final Fantasies to play, like you would definitely want to play the first one, but like you could skip this one. I would say you could safely skip this one. Anyway, yeah, that's my thoughts about Final Fantasy II. Hope you guys at least, you know, got some enjoyment out of watching me play it. I mean, there's some fun clips and stuff there's some fun things that happened. Things that were pretty hilarious, so. I can make anything entertaining. We could have a stream where we watch paint dry and I could make it hilarious. No, I don't know. I doubt it. In fact, if we just watched paint dry, I'd probably just fall asleep. Anyway. Okay, what's next? Alright. Close this.